In the spring of the year, when the kings go out to battle, David did not go. It's the first time he did not go. And we'll talk about maybe the reasons why David didn't go in just a minute. But David was where he shouldn't have been. He was at home when he should have been at battle. And this began the most painful experience in David's life. And not only did he have this relationship with Bathsheba, but he brought her husband home from war to cover his sin. And when this honorable man Uriah, this honorable man, I'll tell you something in just a minute. I read the Bible this morning, which is phenomenal. I was telling Karen about this morning. This Uriah, Bathsheba's husband, came home from battle, and when David said, go sleep with your wife tonight to try to cover his sin, Uriah slept at his door because he would not take a privilege that his fellow soldiers laying on the battlefield that night could not have. What an honorable man he was. And he got killed for it. The next morning when David realized that Uriah wouldn't play the game, he had him killed. He might as well have stuck a knife in his heart right there. David killed that man. And I'll tell you what I read this morning. In Matthew 1 there, the genealogies. You know, genealogies aren't exciting to read if you've ever read Leviticus or, you know, in your Numbers and all these genealogies. But I decided this morning I'm going to pay attention. You know, when I'm reading these, I'm glad I did. Did you know that when the genealogies are spoken of in the Old Testament, and it says so-and-so begat so-and-so begat so-and-so begat so-and-so, David's father was Jesse, and it says Jesse begat, David. And before that, it says that Obed was Jesse's father. It says Obed begat Jesse by Ruth. It named the mother. And then before that, it was Rahab who was the mother, and it mentioned her. When it came to David, it says David had Solomon by the woman who had been the wife of Uriah. It wouldn't name Bathsheba's name. It named Uriah's name. Uriah was such an honorable man. When it came to listing the genealogies, it would not talk about Bathsheba. Uriah got an honorable mention in the New Testament as being a part of the genealogy in a funny way. David killed that man, and David stole his wife away from him. In battle, David was awesome, but in the bedroom, he was a reproach to Israel, and he brought more pain on his family and on himself and on Israel than any enemy had ever dared give him on the battlefield. I want to talk about a couple of things here about this story. And the first is, why did the kings go out in the spring of the year? And you say, well, it was too cold to fight in the winter. Well, sure it was. But they could have fought in the summer. They could have fought in the fall. Why did the kings go out in the spring of the year to battle? And that's because there were territorial disputes in the spring. These were farmers. These were ranchers. These were people that were very, very connected to the land. And in the spring of the year, that was the time when enemies would come and try to encroach upon your territory. And if you didn't go out and fight, you were going to lose some property and you were going to lose some people. So it was the king's responsibility. One of the major responsibilities of government is protection and defense. And so that's true of the United States. It was true back then. So it was the king's responsibility in the spring of the year to lead the soldiers out and to make sure that your people didn't lose their land and that you were represented on the field of battle when an enemy was trying to take what was yours. Well, let me say this. Thank God that battle doesn't last all the time. Warfare doesn't last all the time. If David would have gone to battle, he would have been there for a month or two or three and then come home and lived there the rest of the year. And he had just had 3 months off, wintertime off to rest. He wasn't too tired. God does not expect us to be in battle all the time. Listen, God wants us to live a fun, happy, balanced life. If you're having fun, if you want to enjoy yourself, if you want to take a great vacation somewhere, God wants to see his children living a happy life. But there are times in your life you've got to show up on the battlefield because the devil wants to take what is yours. The spring of the year was the time when the enemy showed up because they wanted more land. Because that's the time you planted. It didn't matter if you had it in the summer or in the fall, it was too late. It was too late to plant. You had to get out right when winter was over at the beginning of spring and get that land so you could plant it. And the crops would be yours. And your sheep and your cattle would have more room to graze. And so in the spring of the year, David was not out protecting what he should have protected, and he lost a tremendous amount in that time of withdrawing from the battlefield. I'm saying the devil wants your mind, he wants your body, he wants your marriage, he wants your children, he wants your family, he wants your destiny. He wants everything you've got, and if you don't fight him for it, you will lose. And we don't have to stay on the battlefield all the time because we have the authority to defeat the devil. But when it's time to be on the battlefield, that is where greatness happens. In David's life, every time he fought, he won. Guess what? We're the children of the Most High God. Every time we fight the devil, we will win. And we'll take back what he's trying to take. And we will accomplish our destiny. The best in you will come out on the battlefield. The best in you will come out when you're fighting for what is yours and you're committed to living your destiny in God. The very, very best in David's life came out in those times on the battlefield when he rushed Goliath, and Goliath was cursing him by his gods. And David, faith-filled little boy with a slingshot, said, "You come against me with sword and spear, I come against you in the name of the living God." And he glorified his God. And he brought all the other soldiers to a place of great courage on the battlefield. But now he demoralized his nation. When he decided to stay off the battlefield, the worst in him came out, and he became an adulterer and a murderer. This great person. On the battlefield, the best in us comes out. On the rooftop, the worst in us comes out.
Thank you for watching Marriage Today with Jimmy and Karen. Support Marriage Today with your best gift and receive the series, I Am David. Experience release and freedom from the pain of your past with the life-changing book, When Life Hurts by Jimmy Evans. Visit whenlifehurtsbook.com. Follow your interests and get social by connecting with Jimmy and Karen and the Ministry of Marriage Today on Twitter. Looking for your next great book? Start reading instantly with Marriage Today's ebooks, now available online. Become a rock-solid partner today and equip yourself with the tools you need for a successful marriage. $14, $28, or $56 per month. Choose the partnership level that's right for you. Become a rock-solid partner today.